week 2 of the fantasy football season. And here's a few defense DST units I have as sleepers this week. The first one, the Houston Texans. So the Texans here as a 1 week sleeper and streaming option, I think it's the worst thing in the world. Available 98% of fantasy leagues. In week 1, I know Lamar Jackson and the Ravens put up 25 points in that game. But Lamar Jackson, he didn't do much in that game. It was more the running game for the Ravens more than anything. So week 1, 25 points allowed, 4 sacks. I didn't throw in a fumble recovery. So right here, week 2 versus Anthony Richardson, the rookie quarterback, and the Indianapolis Colts that don't have much on offense. I think this Houston Texan team, they can make a few plays in this one. I think a few sacks, maybe a turnover or two. And this ball game, I could see in the teens to low 20s between these division rivals in week 2 here at Houston. So right now, if you're desperate for a defense or if you're like in a 20-team league or something and need a sleeper option, the Texans are available 98% of fantasy leagues. The next DSTs, the Los Angeles Chargers. So the Chargers, they got torched by Tyreek Hill and the Miami Dolphin offense with Tua throwing in that one for 466 yards. But right now, this week, they got a pedestrian Tennessee Titan offense they're versing in Tennessee. I know they got Hopkins in the offseason. I know they got Henry and Traylon Burks. But Ryan Tannehill, we don't have a lot of time back there. And he's just not that good of a quarterback as well, I believe. So right now, the Chargers, after coming off that dismal performance in week 1 here, giving up 36 point deception and a fumble recovery, I think they can hold this Titan team to mid-20s to the higher 20 range and get a few turnovers, definitely get a few sacks, I believe, because like I said, this Titan offensive line is one of the worst in the league here. And this Charger team, they got names on defense, but they just don't play as a collective unit, it seems like, year in and year out. So right now, available 92% of fantasy leagues. And if you need a DST sleeper, the Chargers definitely could be a decent one this week. In the third and final DST I have as a sleeper this week, it's the Arizona Cardinals. So the Cardinals have the New York Giants coming to town. We know the Giants couldn't do anything in week 1 versus the Dallas Cowboys in the home opener and the season opener on Sunday Night Football. So right now, in week 1, they had a good ball game, was this Arizona Cardinal defense. 20 points allowed, 6 sacks, an interception, 2 fumble recoveries, and a touchdown in that ball game. So right now, that was a good special teams unit. And right here, Arizona is going to be home in this ball game. I know the Commanders' offense isn't as good as the New York Giants, especially Saquon Barkley. There's no one in that running game in Washington that could run like Barkley. But anyway, as a sleeper option and a team that could get pressure on Daniel Jones, because another thing, this offensive line isn't that good. And their best offensive lineman, Thomas, he possibly could miss this game with a hamstring injury. So right now, things definitely can line up for Arizona to have another sneaky ball game where they could be a sleeper option at the position. And they're available right now in 95% of fantasy leagues. So that's a few defense DST units I have as sleepers here for week 2 of the fantasy football season.